Hey, everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Tuliatos and brought to you by his book. This is available on Amazon. It is called The Bible of Bodybuilding. Everything you need to know about training, nutrition, supplementation, PED use. And if you're on Amazon looking for awesome books, wow, look at that. Real Bodybuilding by Ron Harris. Great book. Now, all the way from Athens, Greece, please welcome Dr. George N. Tuliatos. Welcome, Doctor. Welcome.
Hello, Ron. Have a good week.
Yeah, no shows. We've got a little break from the contest for a couple of weeks here, so that's cool. You're going to Arnold UK, though, in 4 weeks?
Yeah, I'm going in 4 weeks. Yeah, as I said, for the second year in a row, I'm hosted by Balance by Hormones. We're going to speak about TRT and AAS harm reduction. I'll be there on Friday and Saturday. Hopefully, I will see there George Farah, who told me he will attend, Sean Ray, and I don't know, hopefully Samir. He was last year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, heavy contest favorite, and James Hollingshead looking great right now. Is Jamie the Giant looking fantastic? Andrew Jack.
What about this Czech guy who was seeking for the pro card and the
Krizo,
yes, Krizo.
Yeah, he's not a pro yet. I think he's going for an amateur Olympia. I think it's going to be in France.
Prague.
Is it Prague?
Prague again. Okay. In Elves, Prague.
Okay, so hopefully he wins the amateur Olympia. I don't see who's going to beat him at the amateur Olympia. And then if he can go into the Prague show, get his pro win, we could see him on the Olympia stage that quickly. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. Because this is a guy, I've been seeing pictures of him for years and saying, wow, I'd love to see this guy in the Mr. Olympia next to Rami and Brandon.
But he's definitely a freak, a mass monster. He has quality, he has good separation. A little bit he lacks of some, thickness in the back, but yeah. I believe he deserves to be top 10 easily.
Oh, yeah. I mean, from the front and the side, he's amazing. He is just a freak. Yeah. So, yeah, even in Generation Iron on their Instagram, they did a side-by-side of him hitting a front double bicep next to Rami, and it looked they look like.
It would be nice for the NPC to bring another European, non-African American, so to start developing more interest out of Europe.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, when Dorian was Mr. Olympia, I think it did a lot for European bodybuilding. A lot of European bodybuilders saw that there was a viable career for them in the sport and they could become champions. So absolutely. Good luck to Michael Krizo. Let's get into some questions, Doctor. Sometimes we get very few questions. Sometimes we get a lot of questions. This is one of those weeks we got a good amount of questions. So the first one, does it make sense to use Tribulus while on TRT for libido and endogenous testosterone production?
No, this is total a waste of money. Tribulus terrestris and other herbs like maca, D-aspartic acid, fenugreek, long jack or whatever, or even ZMA are necessary during the PCT protocol when you're starting your own production. But when you're plagued with testosterone, you just need HCG to keep the balls active and fertile.
Okay, good one. Next one is, how can I know if TRT would be a good option for my mood? I easily switch from happy and energetic to sad and lazy. My test lab is 550. I guess that's his total test. And I'm 50. Good diet, weightlifting 3 times a week, a bit of cardio, and I go see a therapist when I need it. So I mean, therapist, that means for, his moods and emotions and everything. So would TRT, if he's at 550 now and he has these mood swings, do you think TRT to optimize his test level?
Well, certainly at 550, you're mid-range, exactly. So you don't need the replacement therapy.
Oh.
Okay, you don't lack enough testosterone. He's in his 50s.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I mean, being in your 50% in your 50s is not bad. Yet, testosterone can contribute to improvement of mood in case you lack of testosterone.
Right.
And if you are depressed out of hypogonadism, certainly it's going to help you. Otherwise, if you are eugonadal and you add testosterone, you might go a little bit high and become hyper, hypomanic, a little bit of irritated, edgy, nervous a little bit. It's up to the person, of course, but 550, no, you don't need testosterone at all. It's a different thing if you're starting cycles and you're going to become euphoric if you are eugonadal and you add testosterone,
Yeah. So this is really not a testosterone issue. It's maybe a brain chemistry issue.
Now, there's another case. If SHBG is high and free testosterone is suppressed, then he can take a look at that. In this case, lowering SHBG by DHT synthetic, like Muscular, for instance,
Yeah.
might help, or synthetic DHT itself.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I wonder if a little more tests would help him. I wonder. I mean, if it was me, I would bump it up just to see what would happen. But that's, I got that lab rat mentality. This is for both of us. So you start, doctor. Did you notice if gains long after cycle were retained better on a strength training program, Yates or Coleman style, or on a lightweight program, Flex or Dexter? Which style of training gives the most durable, long-lasting?
After the cycle, right after you stop a cycle?
He says long after a cycle. So I guess if you trained that way on a cycle, if you train the Dorian way or the Dexter way, which would allow you to hold on?
I don't think there's any way to sustain this heavy duty stuff without gear. You're gonna cut off your tendons and your ligaments and your muscles, and also your CNS won't recover. So forget about it going down to 6 to 8 reps, one set to failure and doing the heavy duty style.
Yeah,
it's inevitable,
Well, he lumped in Yates and Coleman as one style. When Dorian and Ronnie Coleman had very different training styles, very different. They were both heavy, but Ronnie used a lot more volume. It was a
lot of more. Yet Dorian used different exercises, one set, but different exercise. So this creates a little bit of volume,
Yeah. So I think his question really is heavyweight training versus lighter weight training, which is going to allow you to retain more muscle mass. So if you gain,
it depends. If you do lightweight style, you need to lower the rest intervals to increase the intensity, plus the time under tension, the 2 out of 3 parameters of the intensity.
Yeah.
However, Brad Schoenfeld said that the more progressively you go, the more advanced you are, you need to go to failure. Okay. Otherwise, you can do gains going to the 80%, but as you reach your genetic limits and potential, you need to reach, your failure set. Otherwise, you're not doing this new progress,
Yeah. So, I mean, I actually answered him very briefly in the comment section of the YouTube video, which you can ask us questions in the comments. I'll get to them, but I've never trained light ever, really. So I couldn't answer that question. I always trained heavy with either more or less volume, and I've never been off steroids. I haven't been off steroids for a significant amount of time, like a year or more, since 2006-7. So I can't really say, but I do believe if you put the muscle on with heavy weights, you should keep training heavy to try to hold on.
Bobby Cirillo recently said, the heavier I train, the worse I look.
Who said that?
Yeah, I mean, those 30 things out of
Ciccarello, Bob Ciccarello.
Yeah, what you learn in his career,
Well, I mean, it's different for everybody. Obviously, Ronnie looked great training heavy.
Lee Haney said, stimulate, not annihilate.
Yeah, that's true. That's one of his catchphrases. All right. IGF levels. Here we go. What is an ideal IGF-1 level for an optimized 50-year-old? I take 1.5 IUs of Nutropin 5 days a week, and my levels are at 310. Is that optimal? Is 1 injection a day upon waking in the morning good? 5 on, 2 off was suggested by Jay Campbell, but what does Dr. T think?
Well, it depends on the labs range, but you need to go above mid-range towards the highest range, but do not spike the highest range.
What's a high range for IGF-1?
It depends on the year. Each decade has a different range, but also the labs. So saying that my lab may have the hyper range of 200, other they say 400. It depends on the labs and the reagents they use, the reference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're almost 50. Would 310?
Yeah, but he needs to tell us what's the highest range of the specific laboratory he goes for the check.
Yeah.
All right.
You think it would be standard, but it's not. It's like,
no, it's not standard. No.
Test levels. I've heard some
test levels. They are, yes. But UK, they use another scale. Yet right. Europe and the USA use the same scale, 300 to 1,000.
Yeah.
But according to IGF-1, my lab said over 200 is the 230, something like that. Now, according to this, he's spiked, with 330.
310, so at 50 years old.
Yeah. Okay. We need to follow up the IGF-1 levels because, can say that it triggers cell division, no? And
Yeah.
you know what does this mean?
Hyperplasia, cell
Yeah, this is
division.
cancer. It's the
Okay.
base of cancer, you know?
Oh, the base of cancer. Oh, we don't want that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he asked 1 injection a day upon waking in the morning. Good.
One injection a day, obviously the dose is higher rather than cutting in 2 doses.
Yeah. Well, he's only on
So
one
with
and a
spike,
half.
one higher injection of GAs, let's say 4 IUs at once will spike on IGF-1 rather than using 2 a.m., 2 p.m.
Okay. Yeah, he's only doing 1.5 IUs every morning anyway. It's a very minimal dose.
That's not a lot.
No.
I think you should do it at night to have a better sleep.
Okay. Here's one. You didn't get rid of this question, so I'm assuming you want to answer it. What are Dr. T's thoughts on the addition of ibutamorin, otherwise known as MK677, to TRT due to the expense of pharma-grade growth hormone? Have you seen any lab work that supports its efficacy?
Yeah, this is not a bad idea to support your own production of Yates,
Okay.
but don't expect something very special, you know, a tremendous spike of IGF-1.
Right.
It's just for recovery.
Yeah, I've noticed like a lot of these TRT clinics in the USA, they don't want to give you GH, probably for the expense. They give you these peptides like MK677.
Yes, it's safer, it's cheaper, but it's less effective as well.
I don't like the less effective part. Okay, let's get back to real drugs here. In general, one sustanon, that's 250 milligrams of a testosterone blend, every 10 days generates how many nanograms of testosterone in the 10th day? Do you think the spacing is feasible for those who don't want to apply themselves too much? For someone who only wants to inject every 10 days? Wow.
You know, testosterone has very peculiar mix of compounds, of esters. And one of them is the andecaunate that resembles the andecaunate of testosterone, the libido, and the decaunate also of deca, which is very slowly released, okay, around 60% of the compound. So if you're using testosterone 250 every 10 days compared to enanthate or cypionate, you're going to still have some milligrams of it in the 10th day rather than the enanthate or cypionate that will clear the system even before a week, you know, that will do the spike in the trough again.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much in particular, but why? I mean, a way better protocol is instead of doing 250 every 10 days to do 25 every day.
Yeah, well,
I'll break it down.
he clearly said he just doesn't want to inject very often. He's someone who doesn't want to. But
Okay, if you want to do it every 10, then I guess the suspension is good, all right, because it has the very fast, the propionate, but also it has the andecaunate, so a little bit goes fast, and there remains some which is really slow. It has fast and slow ester together.
have you had any patients that only needed 200,
In the
250
UK,
every?
they're using suspension, the
The libido?
system.
Oh,
the
sustanon.
system.
Oh, they are using sustanon for TRT over there. Wow.
Yeah, of course, yes.
Huh. Yeah, not in America. We're way behind. We're still everyone.
And as a matter of fact, a very known Mr. Olympia is using 250 per week of I would say these the sustanon. Yes.
Dorian must be Dorian. He's in the UK.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah, good for him. What are your collective thoughts on SARMS? Good, bad, or ugly?
Well, we said that extensively, you know, and even Bill Welling is very suspicious about their origin, about how safe they are, and I assume that because we don't know with accuracy the origin, then they're faked by DHT derivatives that don't aromatize, but they are still liver toxic and cardiotoxic by the lipids. And of course, they also affect the HPTA. That's why some people need PCT after the SARMs.
Yeah.
Allegedly, they don't affect the scalp, they don't affect the prostate, you know. But in such case, they shouldn't affect also the HPTA, but there are people that find out they have suppression in the endogenous production, and they have liver enzymes, and they have reduction in good cholesterol, etc.
Yeah.
So why to use something that you don't know how safe it is or the origin of, or it's not completely You know,
There's-
say rather than using an anabolic steroid that is not toxic, like Primo, for instance, like Deca. You know, we know this for centuries. For decades.
Right. That's what I don't understand is people want to use SARMs because they think they're safer than steroids, but we have decades of studies and evidence on steroids and what they do to people. We
Just
don't
like
have
the hormones. Yeah, it's a trendy thing, you know. It will pass, I believe so.
Yeah, and O'Connor has made many videos
And
talking
also,
about
Rick Owens said they're not approved, you know,
right.
perhaps for experimental purposes, but yet they are considered as doping by the agency, you know.
Yeah, you can't sell them in the US legally anymore.
No.
Haven't been able to sell them here for years. People still try. But yeah, I mean, O'Connor has made many videos warning people that he sees patients all the time with HPTA
Yes.
suppression and liver enzymes and all kinds of problems. So they're not harmless. Like people will think, oh, well, they're like steroids, but they're harmless. They're safe. No, they're
Also,
not.
hormones they use to create gyno, you know, because they're metabolized to estrogenic compounds.
Yeah. So my answer is they're ugly. SARMs are ugly. All right, here we go. I'm thinking about taking NPP, that's nandrolone phenylpropionate, with test E and anthate. I was on 300 milligrams for 10 months, had nice results, but I've come down to 150 now for 8 weeks. I'm assuming he's just talking about the testosterone for the body to rest. Then I'll go back to 300 milligrams and was thinking, add NPP. What dose should I do the NPP at and how long should I run it? Cheers.
I guess the DECA test ratio should be 1:2. Okay, so half of the dose of testosterone do the nandrolone.
Okay. So if he's going to go back to 300 milligrams of test, then 150 milligrams of nandrolone. Easy. And because it's a propionate, probably want to do that like 3 times a week, 50, 50, 50.
Yeah, you can add the testosterone propionate as well. Why don't you match compounds together?
I haven't seen test propionate in a long time. I haven't tried to find any, but I haven't seen it in years. I know people still use it. I'm all about the sip. I love my sip. Okay, I asked this guy, I don't know if this is a fake question or not, if he was just trying to mess with us, because I asked him twice in the comments to give me the doses, and he never replied back, but I just thought that was kind of crazy. So he said, I take Tren and D-ball, Sustanon and Anadrol and EQ and Primobolan. Is that too much?
That is missing.
Wait, let me finish. But I break it up, and he spells break incorrectly. Monday, Tren and EQ, D-ball and Anadrol, Sustanon on Wednesday, Primabol and EQ and D-ball, Anadrol Friday. Just Sustanon. Is this too much to take? Thank you for helping me.
Yeah, obviously this is a lot, unless you're preparing for getting your pro card. You know?
Even then, I don't think you need all those things. That's one.
Well, not together, but you know, one after the other. You know, changing the compounds.
And the D-ball and Anadrol and Sustanon.
It sounds like a serious as a cycle, switching from the bulking to the cutting nonstop. You know.
He's doing that every week. He's switching them every like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. He uses different drugs. It's pretty crazy. But you know what? We talk about like perfect cycles and stupid cycles, but I don't know what difference it would make. But that's why I asked him for the amounts. I think it's a fake question because he never got back. But unless you're using small amounts of those, you know, all that's 5 compounds together. If you were doing like, you know, a gram of each, which I don't think was unheard of at the higher level, that's a lot of gear right there. That's a lot of gear.
Besides, it doesn't fit wrong in an oil. You know, come on. How much are you gonna inject?
Yeah, you gotta put it every.
The most you can inject is 1 ml here twice a week over here. So we have 4 mLs.
Yeah.
Okay, so 400 milligrams in one compound over here per week.
Yeah.
And then you can have 5 and 5.
The glutes.
So another 10 ml in the glutes per week. So you have to choose.
I don't know where these, you know, people that they do a lot of oil every week. I don't know where they put it all, because you know you can
Progressively, this will create an abscess.
Yeah, because I mean,
After 1 month for sure.
I used to put everything in my glutes, everything over, you know, just rotate left, right,
Easily,
left, right.
You can add 2 ml here Monday and Thursday, 1 and 1. Easily.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. And our final question: I just started 2.5 units of growth hormone per day. I'm 39 years old. What benefits can I expect, and when should I start to notice them? I know it works slow. And then he asked about metformin, but how long would it? what benefits would you see from 2.5 IU of GH, and how long should it take?
So fat burning, recovery, joint health, and I'm not sure about the growing, but of course you need to add it to stack it with testosterone for sure. Otherwise, a waste of money, just monodose of growth hormone. I don't believe he needs metformin in such a low dose for the insulin resistance, as long as he stay off from junk, especially carbs, hyperglycemic, and trans fat.
Yeah.
And he needs at least, I believe, a 6-month window.
Oh, wow.
Yes. To estimate this, to observe it,
Because I mean, that's what I'm on now, 2.5. And I noticed like lipolytic fat loss results within, I'd say, a month. Maybe it got more pronounced as time went on, but that to me was the one thing I could definitely see from growth hormone. I don't think I got one bit of extra muscle growth ever from it.
Well, it's because of the dose, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, the highest I went was 4 units a day, and I was doing that for about a year, which still, that's not enough for growth. What we say like 6 to 8 is about the threshold where you start seeing gains.
Over eight for sure. Yes.
Over 8. Wow. Okay. I mean, it's a lot. I hear about these guys that do
16, 24.
Well, let's see, a pen, those pens are 36. So 12, they'll do 12 a day, I guess. A lot of these guys, a pen every 3 days. Whew, that's a lot of money. Those pens, the real ones from
once Mr. Olympia showed me in a video in his cell phone. He opened up a fridge. It was all packed, all this.
Wow. I mean, I can't remember I remember years ago when I got some pens, and they were, I want to say like $350 each US. So if you were doing one of those every 3 days, wow, that's about $1,000 a week on growth hormone, if my math is anywhere near correct.
No, if it's 36 and you use roughly 5 units every day, you need per week 1 pen. Okay,
yeah. I mean, I don't know, these people that were doing like 15 to 20 units of growth every day, either they're getting it for free, somebody's giving it to them, or I don't know where's that money come from. That is a lot.
They go to HIV patients and they trade,
Yeah.
Because they're getting for free the HIV patients.
That's true.
And they sell it to the bodybuilders.
Yeah. That's rough. I mean, you'd think the HIV patients need their growth hormone, but I guess they'd rather have the money to buy something else. I don't know. Anyway, well, that's all our questions for this week, Doctor. Appreciate you taking the time. Guys, you have questions for the doctor, please leave them in the comments here. We collect them. We post these every Tuesday morning, and usually by Friday, we have enough questions for the next week's show that we record on Monday morning. So if you try to slip in a question in an old episode, I'm never going to see it and give it to the doctor. I promise you.
Are we done with the shows in the US now?
One more. We got one more. One more Olympia qualifier, the Legion Sports Fest in Reno, Nevada. That is October 12th, I think. That is the last US show to qualify for Olympia.
I think Steve will be there at Kuklo.
I don't know. Yeah, it's the 8th. It's going to be October 8th. And we still have Prague. I think there's a show in France.
What about
in the Arnold UK, obviously.
No?
Which one?
The points, the rank.
It's on the web. I haven't looked at it lately to see who's leading the leaderboard. I can't remember. Is Romania this year before or after the Olympia? I'm not sure. I got to look into that. I think it's after the Olympia. No, I'll have to look. Sorry, I don't know, Jake Wood. I don't know off the top of my head, but Romania Muscle Fest. That's another good show. But yeah, I hope Kuklo gets the Olympia. That would be.
Unless he gets a special invitation.
I doubt they're going to give him a special invitation. That would be 2019, that would be 40 years without an Olympia appearance if he doesn't get to it this year. Because I think the last time
he was in Vegas.
19? Was he? Yeah, so 2021. Okay, so yeah, he can't miss any more Olympias. Come on, Steve. Get to that Olympia. He needs to be on that show. Yeah. All right. Well, Doctor, thank you so much for sharing all your information, expertise, and all that. Follow him online, Instagram, Dr. George Tsoulianos. Of course, please support the channel, share the videos, like the videos, hit the subscription bell, do all that good stuff. We appreciate it. So thanks for watching Ask Dr. Testosterone. See you next time.